Thank you very much, Vidyasaki, for inviting me to give this talk, but also for your incredible storytelling this morning, which helped me completely connect, well, not completely connect, but helped me connect to some greater extent with Padmasambhava and to be reminded of the energy that he stirs in me. Quite something, actually. He somehow connects with my adolescent self, which is basically makes me a little bit afraid. I'm a little bit afraid of Padmasambhava, actually. In fact, quite a lot afraid, if I'm totally honest. But that helps me focus, actually, on some of the reasons why I'm afraid, where I am on the journey to enlightenment, where I'm on my journey for going for refuge, the gravitational pull that takes me towards nirvana, that puts me on the boat. Am I actually on the boat? Have I actually started the journey? Am I, driving the ship, or am I just carrying the sandwiches? So it's all been, it's great, huge working ground. So thank you for that. And what I'd like to share with you this afternoon is a little bit of my story, my positioning on my gravitational pull, my journey, and where that is now and how it's changed from 11 years ago, where I started my journey towards going for refuge to the Buddha Dharma Sangha. And what was happening to me at that moment was completely different to what's happening to me now. But in a way, what I'd like to do is to share with you initially some of the false refuges that I had then, which goes to show a little bit of where I'm moving towards. So it's quite interesting. I've been reflecting on what my false Buddha refuge was. What did I hold, or what do I still hold in a way as something, as a higher potential for me? And I think looking back, my conditioned upbringing was very much around status, and career status and educational status was held as the most kind of worthy thing, the thing that had the greatest potential. So doing well, getting the right degree, getting the right job is such a huge kind of conditioned working ground for me that in of itself, I think, is my false Buddha refuge. My false Dharma refuge, in terms of views about myself, about my own truths, are really hugely varied, and many of them, but I thought I'd just pull out a couple. One was, and still is to an extent, but is working ground for me, which is about the notion of, and again, I think maybe it's related to the kind of the educational career status, is around actually not wanting to be wrong. And maybe that's also coincides with wanting to be right all the time, and feeling shame and embarrassment about being wrong. So in this, and thinking that people would think bad things of Miriam Lynn if she was, got it wrong, and therefore that holds great weight for me, is to actually seem to be right. Also, lots of other things around being monogamous, pleasing other people, and that kind of links with my false friendship, my false sangha, my false community refuge, which you could almost say was around putting the energy into making other people feel good rather than bringing myself to the table. I have a very strong tendency and a very well perfected coping strategy to not reveal myself often, not always. I'm working on it with the support of my friends at the moment, but of deflection. So it is my deflection mode of being, which is to be totally, and I am interested in other people. I am a social being. So it's, in a sense, it's a habit, but it's also something that is very strong in me, to want others to be well and to want others to be happy. But coinciding with that is the ability to very skillfully not always reveal what I'm truly thinking or what I'm truly believing or bringing myself to the table. So these were, I think, 11 years ago, some of my false refuges, and still continue to be. And I'm also reflecting and thinking, actually, it's a story. My life is a story that I'm telling you. It's probably not what was really going on in my heart right then, but this is in my reflection of what was going on, was true then. I had a relationship breakdown back then, 11 years ago, and I completely couldn't make any sense of it, because in a way I'd firmly believed my story of, giving her all my energy and my attention, feeling like I was pleasing her. The energy that I was given was about her, that relationship being focused around her needs, and it all went horribly wrong, and I couldn't make sense of it. And I knew I had to take some time to be still, to listen to myself, and to take myself to a place where I would hope that I would be able to understand a little bit more about the truth of things. I Googled retreat centre. I wanted to go to Scotland, and interestingly enough, landed up in Dharna with the lake. I'm not sure Padmasambhava was totally present at that time, but it was a feeling, a tremendous feeling of arriving home, arriving at the right location, switching on the light, learning to meditate in the most incredibly beautiful place, with beings who were so open-hearted and generous with their wisdom, with their energy, and who wanted to support my beginning to meditate. And it was incredible. It was, as I said, it was a sense of coming home, a stillness. And it meant that I then reconnected, or didn't reconnect, I connected with the Cambridge Buddhist Centre, and it helped me connect with the beauty elements, actually being in Dharna Kosha, the beauty elements of the three jewels. And along these 11 years, what I've been working on, and my gravitational pull, is the impulse to grow, to change, and to loosen some of those habits, some of those false refuges that I had that kept me from, and do still keep me from, being myself. But the main gravitational pull that supports me now, and that supports me in the way that I develop myself and loosen some of those false refuges. And as Vinay, and thank you Vinay for your wonderful talk, I mean, lots of connections here, but the friendship jewel, the Sangha jewel, is what helps me develop and has helped me so positively over the last few years. In a sense, when Ananda told asked the Buddha, or told him that actually friendship was half of the spiritual life, and where the Buddha turned and said, "Say not, Ananda, friendship is the whole of the Buddha life, of the spiritual life." What I feel is that actually my spiritual friendships, my going for refuge with my spiritual friends, is about seeing the Dharma, seeing the truth, seeing the teachings in the friendship that I am developing with very, very strong and dear friends. So it is lived through, the Dharma is lived through my friendships. I come across impermanence, my conditioning, the reality as it is, through the deepening of those friendships. It's not always easy, but it is about that I can truly reveal more of myself without feeling that I'm being judged. I occasionally get poked, and that's not a bad thing, and I'm very grateful to that. But actually, what I'm doing is I am revealing myself, and I'm being shown that to actually do that in a way is helping me move along my journey. So my moving towards the Sangha friendship is what actually helps me be who I really am. It also has helped me realize that actually, as an unenlightened being, which I am, I'm always wrong, because I don't have the whole picture. So therefore, that's helped me enormously see that where I held so tightly onto the belief that I must be right, otherwise I'm seen as a terrible being, or as somebody who's kind of judged upon for either not having the intellect or not having the emotional intellect to be right. Actually, how can I, as an unenlightened being, know the whole picture? So I find that is incredibly liberating in a way, because I don't fully understand reality as it happens. I'm moving towards it in certain niche kind of micro areas, but actually I have really no idea, and therefore that allows me to be wrong. I'm not saying wrong in the sense, well, okay, here's my mind actually now trying to make sense of that. So that's what I'm working towards. So being in relationship with friends who love me wholeheartedly and want to share and are on that journey, they're on the boat with me, actually enables me to recognize that I can loosen that tight grasp to the Miriam that needs to have the good job, the successful relationship. And I can loosen some of that and be poked as why am I not bringing myself to this conversation or to this whatever's happening. So in a way, my going for refuge is about enabling me to be more in line, to be in better understanding for my relationship with the truth, with the authentic part of who I am. So it's a reshifting of my relationship with myself to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So it's about my authentic experience to all of those things. So it's absolutely key that I do that in dialogue with others. And that's where I see Triratna really helping my going for refuge, because I can't do this alone. I need festival days. I need my GFR group to hold me, trust me, poke me, to be there. And we are there for each other. So I do that in dialogue with those strong women. I believe that I still have those same tendencies that I had in relationship with my false refuges, but what I have now is a different relationship to them. So it's not a shedding of something, it's more about seeing something very differently, to shedding the tightness of the attachment, to wanting to understand wholeheartedly that I'm right all the time, because I can never be right until I'm enlightened. And I'm doing this because I want to love more fully. So my going for refuge is about opening up to the possibility of loving the Dharma, loving the Buddha, and loving the Sangha, and loving myself more fully in the context of my spiritual development. And in doing that, I do that by stopping living in fear of what that might be. So when I hear the Padmasambhava mantra, it stirs up a huge emotion for me, because actually what Padmasambhava evokes in me is a sense of, this is now. There is no holding back. It's a real, and this is what I'm saying about the kind of the adolescent energy of that. I find incredibly attractive, actually, and it's an adolescent energy in me. I'm not saying that it's everybody's experience, but it's about recognizing that that's a calling in me, and what I'm doing is trying to loosen the fear of what that calling is, and moving into different relationship with that, with people who love me. So I think that's me for now, and I'd just like to say thank you for the experience.